Welcome to the world united. Welcome to the world united.
Namaste. It is indeed an honor and a privilege to be speaking here today on the third WPS Asia. I want to thank the organizers for inviting me, especially Amalia Lee. I'm Stephen Lin, and I'm a corporate consultant and trainer and a spiritual practitioner. Today I want to share with you some spiritual principles for innovation. These are simple principles, easy to use, unfortunately often forgotten because of the chase for the most modern, the newest tools out there by businesses and corporations. Now, if they were to go back to the basics, the foundations, they would find that innovation will progress so much faster and easier. So here we go. Now we need to bear in mind that people we work with in business and organizations are not necessarily spiritual. So when we work in organizations or with organizations, we need to use language that won't scare them away. Now, since this group is spiritual, I will refer to the spiritual principles, but also introduce the business language so that when we do work with the corporates and the businesses, we can talk in their language. Now, first, before we start, we got to understand when businesses say creativity and innovation, what do they mean? Now, in organizational speak, creativity simply means coming up with new ideas. And innovation, that's where we will talk about value, and innovation is taking these creative ideas and creating new value out of them to benefit the organization and also to benefit the community and whoever the customers are. Now, in spirituality, both are intertwined, rolled into one. Because creativity in spirituality is all about creation, and creation is about adding value to our lives and others. And the innovation we want to focus on now, today, as we talk about the spiritual principles for innovation, we want to talk about intentional innovation, not accidental innovation, innovation by chance, but intentional innovation. Now, some of the principles I just mentioned quickly here that we want to use, the spiritual principles are connecting to consciousness, intent, letting go, which leads to non-attachment, trusting the process, allowing inspiration to happen, let things happen at their own pace, and attuning energy to a higher level, the highest level possible. We start with intent. We all know the power of intent. Energy healers use that all the time to direct energy for healing. The law of attraction has intention as its central focus and as its foundation. Now, what we want to do is take this intent and put it before consciousness so that it can provide us with the infinite wisdom and the knowledge that we need in order to be creative and therefore innovative. In corporate language, we want to talk about clear goals for each innovation effort. Now remember, we are talking about intentional innovation, not accidental innovation. So there must be clear goals for each innovation effort. And we also want to know the purpose of the goals. There's a difference between the purpose and the goals. The goals and the purpose, right? Let me give you an example. We may say, okay, we want to be innovative and see how we can solve the traffic problem of getting, it might be taking too long to get from one point to the other, maybe 10 kilometers in, 1 hour. But we want to shorten the time from 1 hour to maybe 15 minutes, let's just say. Now then we explore the purpose behind it. What's the purpose of wanting to reduce this time? Now then we say that, okay, the purpose really is because we want workers to get to work on time so that they spend their time more productively on productive work rather than stuck in the traffic. Now, if we focus our innovation efforts only on improving traffic, then that's what we get. But if we say that now this thing is true for the purpose of improving the productivity of workers, getting them to spend their time more productively, then maybe the universe will open up for us other options to make this happen rather than just focusing on improving traffic. Now, there's this famous story that goes around. I think you may have heard of it before. It's about the difference between the Russian Space Agency and the American Space Agency. The American Space Agency wanted to develop a new type of writing pen that can write upside down in a vacuum, and the purpose of which was so that they can write in space without gravity. So they were focusing their efforts on developing a pen. Now, they were focusing on a goal level, not the purpose level. The Russians, however, focused on the purpose level, writing in space. They had other options. It doesn't need to be a pen. They just simply took a pencil. So that's a difference between focusing on purpose and focusing on goals. So as we focus on a purpose, we let this intention go up to the universe, and the universe may then open up for us other options than just what we thought of was the goals. And after we have had this intention, this clear intention already, we need to let it go. We need to let it go and trust the universe or consciousness to allow the universe to reveal to us what the solutions are. We can't force it. We just need to empty the container here, so that a container of our mind, so that we can receive the inspiration as it is given to us. Now, in corporate language, we call this allowing incubation to happen. And it is actually a neuroscientific phenomena. Now, one mistake that corporates often make here is that they want to rush. They want to do all the innovation in one sitting, in two sittings, back to back. They go off for camp. They want to focus on it. Now, that's rushing it, right? There is no time to allow the universe, the consciousness to provide us with the answers. So we got to give time and space for it to reveal to us. When we go back to corporate, if we are to be running an innovation effort, it is good to give a gap in time between defining the problem and what we might call ideation. So, for example, right, we want to solve a problem, right? Find a way around, an innovative round, some technical issues that we have. So we meet this Friday in the afternoon, maybe 4 o'clock. We immerse in the issues, we immerse in the problem, we understand the goal, we understand the purpose, right? Then we go home. We do nothing about it, and we meet maybe next Friday again. The time in between is where we allow the consciousness to give us inspiration. And this inspiration will come to us in some revelation somewhere. And the revelations usually come when we are not doing anything special, when we are sleeping, when we are going about other things, as we are being present, as we play. So important part here, practical for all the organizations and businesses. The members of the team should always carry a notebook with them, so that, for instance, they wake up in the middle of the night, they have an idea, they can write it down. You're walking through the shopping center, and you look, this looks like a good idea for what I'm going to do in the innovation. They can write it down. So keep a notebook at hand always. Now we come to the principle of non-attachment. In the Buddhist world, non-attachment simply means non-attachment to outcomes. You engage fully in life, but you do not attach to outcomes. Similarly, in the creative process, we should be attached not to the goals. We should not be attached to the goals, but engage fully in the creative process. When we engage fully in the creative process, that is when revelations will come to us. Just like when we engage fully in life and not worry about the goals, that is when life opens up opportunities for us and makes it a life worth living. When you are attached to your goals, you will be thinking that the goals are the only way to fulfill a purpose. So let go of that attachment. Now, these attachments usually come with an ego. I know best, that's the only way. and that blocks out inspiration. So let it go. So now in the corporate world, what we want to do is remove the pressure to perform. We allow time for inspiration to come after defining the problem. So now we meet again next week, and then we call it what the corporate world calls the ideation process. Okay, now as spiritual people, it's important for us to hold space so that the people, when they come into the room, they can get their inspiration, right? And we need to continue with the ground rules so that the ego is left at the door. People remain non-attached to either the goals or non-attached to their own ideas. And what we want them, in order to receive the inspiration and to see more connections, is for them to be present. Now, present, we all know that the present is the only time we have. The present is eternity, and in the present, the past, the future all falls into one. And when we are present, we can connect to all the masters of the past, present, and future, and they can give us inspiration. So it's important we hold space there so that they can do this. Now, one very fortunate thing is that now mindfulness as a practice has gone into corporate culture as well. So to ask people to be present and to be mindful for the moment is not so difficult anymore. And then we go to healing. In all our spiritual journey, we say that we got to heal ourselves first before we can progress in the journey. Now, in the innovation effort, it's the same thing, but we say that the team has to heal first before the team can get inspired into the innovation. So we need to get past what we call the storming phase of team building, right? Into the space of what they call norming, but we call it harmony, non-attachment, non-ego, non-judgment, right? And we want to increase the energy of this group. And when we are talking about energy, what we want to do is to make sure everybody gets attuned to a higher vibration. And you know what that means, a higher vibration level. So how do they do that? How do we do it? In the first place, as the leader, as the executive, you bring in your own level of energy, and that helps to pull everybody's energy up. And we can also help to boost energy of every individual there with perhaps music, the tone of the language, how we speak, of course the ground rules, and maybe some exercise, right? Exercises like at least breathing, stretching, opens up everything. And if you can introduce a little bit of yoga, meditation, maybe especially mindfulness, or maybe qigong, to raise the energy level overall. And one thing, again, coming back to the ground rules, have the ground rules developed such that negative energy will not be allowed to come into the group, because energy level can break down all the inspiration and put a blockage there. So in summary, my 15 minutes are up. In summary, spiritual principles we want to bring to innovation is this. Make the intent very clear at the beginning, the intent of the innovation, the goal, the focus, and then let it go. Allow the universe to help us. Practice non-attachment, non-judgment. Be fully present, that's mindfulness. Hold space for the team, for the group, and ensure that there is healing first before we proceed. And then watch and attune the energy. Thank you very much for listening. I'm Stephen Lin.